So thank you very much, everyone. My name is Janani Chandran. I'm based in Singapore. I work for Rakuten as a group project manager. And today, probably I'm going to share you some kind of insights. I'm going to share you how do you lead without having the authority. Often we see this, topic where the project managers say, I'm not the functional manager. How do I lead a team without authority? So that's the topic we're going to talk about. So let me start without any further ado here. A little more about me. I'm a seasoned project manager leader. I also champion diversity, inclusion, and empowerment. I'm known for building high performing teams. I've been a product manager and a project manager. And in my past life, I've also been a software QA and a QA lead as well. And I offer mentorships and also support to guide individuals through their career transitions or challenges. I help people make a pivot into project management. And in case you want to join me, you want to follow me, you could definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay. So let me speak about what is today's agenda. So we'll have an icebreaker activity so that I get to know about you as well. Then we'll talk about what is authority. Then, how does project manager lead? What are my steps? And then we'll do some quick activities followed by a reflection. Okay, guys. So as we start today's session, I know that all of you are passionate about project management. So this is my question for you. As a project manager, what do you think is the biggest challenge you face? Guys, anybody could unmute themselves and talk. Feel free to. So this is your opportunity. Please go ahead. What is the biggest challenge that you face? Yes, please go ahead. Anybody who wants to talk?
Yes, I can share first.
Sure.
Hello.
Hi.
Uh, so I would say the biggest challenge that I've faced as a project manager is to keep stakeholders engaged. Anything related to stakeholders in general
Hmm.
is definitely challenging in bigger organizations or bigger projects, is identifying all the stakeholders and
Hmm.
keeping them engaged throughout.
Wonderful. So you spoke about stakeholder management, engaging the stakeholders and managing them. That's true. Anybody else who has a challenge?
I would say,
Yeah.
Chanda, to respect the triple constraint. Sometimes you know, you are spending much more money than expected, or you are late in your project, or the quality of the product is not achieved. So that's the classical challenge that we can have when we are trying to balancing between the triple constraint here.
Thank you so much, Maroon. That's true. Certain times you receive an additional scope. How do I balance between the budget and the timelines? Or you would have been told that you need to complete the project within 6 months instead of 7 months. Now, how do I manage the scope and the budget? So, thank you so much, guys. So, let's proceed forward to see how could you lead without having the authority. Okay, so what do I have today? Wait. Okay. So now, if I had to define authority, I would simply say authority is often associated with formal roles and structures. And we also say that it represents sanctioned power, right? When you talk about a system or a team, the one who has this designated positions like a manager, a lead, or a director, we often say that they are the ones who have the authority. We often hear as well when the project manager says certain things, he still needs to go and convince the stakeholders. Just now, somebody spoke about how much you'll have to manage stakeholders. How do you convince the stakeholders? And we also know that project managers often come from a matrix work environment where you might or might not have authority over the team. So now today we're going to see how do you still build this kind of authority. And how does a stakeholder structure look like normally? You do have multiple teams. You have your project teams, you have your business teams whom you work with, your external or your internal stakeholders, customers. Then you have the compliance and the regulatory team, or even your senior managers who would be your sponsor, who are interested to know what is happening on the project. Now, being a project manager is one of very crucial positions where you have to balance it out between all these stakeholders and make sure that they could be managed well. Each one has a different style, each one has a different influence over the project. Now, keeping them all balanced is definitely a superpower that we have. So, what do I suggest? How do I guide you that you could lead a project without having that formal authority? For that, in my experience, I have seen that these 5 steps definitely helps it. So what are those steps? The first one is building strong relationships. Second one I say is lead with expertise, not with position. We're going to talk about it. Next thing, I'm going to take this from the win-win situation that we talk about, the 7 habits of highly effective people. How do we focus on having a win-win situation for everyone? Finally, we'll move on to mastering the art of communication. We all know that communication is a superpower that project managers have. And then, lastly, when you have built all these 4 actions, let's look at demonstrating credibility because actions speak louder than words. How do I build my credibility and how do I win over my stakeholders? So now let's start with the first situation where I'm talking about building stronger relationships. Of course, each one of us has different stakeholders, different sets of stakeholders who have different motivations. You could also have different challenges from the stakeholders, and their goals are very, very different. And if you want to keep all your stakeholders managed very well, you need to build trust and rapport within your team as well as your stakeholders. Now, remember, you might have people of a very senior level as your stakeholder. You might have an external team or even a government body as your stakeholder. Now, the same kind of communication doesn't work with everybody. So, what do I suggest? I suggest you guys to have a kind of one on one with everybody. Okay? Have a one on one with everybody. When you speak to your stakeholders, try to identify what are their problems, what kind of challenges do they face, and how you could help to solve their problems during these one on one conversations. Now, I also suggest that have it, build genuine connections. Have it as an intent. Intentionally, you need to build those rapport. You need to build that communication. Be reliable. Your stakeholders should feel that positive connect with you. They should have it within you that, yes, my project manager cares about me. My project manager is interested to solve the business problems. Now, what do I suggest for these one on one conversations? Talk to stakeholders about how is this project going to impact you guys. If it is a project that we are working on, which means that there is a problem, remember that. And as we agree to be a project manager, we also agree that there is a problem that we are going to solve. So we are accepting to be a problem solver every single day. So remember, when you have this conversation with your stakeholder, show your intentions very clearly. I'm here to help you. I'm here to solve your business problem. So could you please explain me how do I have that mm, solution to your problem? So when you build this kind of genuine connections, you will build a trust with your stakeholders. Okay, so build strong relationships. Let's move on to the next point. Now, remember, as a project manager, you are not looking into detailed requirements. Okay, remember, most of us do not come from a background where you have been an architect, where you are capable of building a solution. So we are looking at an IT project. Imagine you are building a new system which enables payment to different, say, education providers. Now, remember, I, as a project manager, might not know a lot about how do I build a payment solution? How do I build a UI for this system? So, what do I need to have? First thing is, I would say, try to have that knowledge of this end to end system. So, definitely, when you have this end to end systems knowledge, you'll try to share knowledge and insights that add values. You're able to talk to your stakeholder, look, this is what I'm suggesting to build as a system. Next thing is you should have your system of delegates or your system of trustworthy contacts, whom I call as to go experts. You should have your strong experts whom you could go back and ask them, if I have this kind of problem, what could be the proposed solution? Solution A, B, or C? Where does each path lead to, right? You need to have that kind of experts team. Then, as a project manager, you also have to lead and guide many stakeholders to come up with a decision. You might often go into presentations where you need to exude executive presence and propose them. Yes, we do have a problem, but I do have three solutions. Solution number one, pros and cons. Solution number two, pros and cons. Solution number three. Then give them options. If I go through path one, how much budget would I need? And how much timeline can I fix it? Same with the other two solutions. So you should have this kind of expertise where you are able to give solutions to your stakeholders. So build it with data and clear rationale. Okay. I would also suggest stay current with the industry trends. Now we all speak about generative AI and large language model and things. So imagine if you're incorporating a product where you have to build a project with kind of generative AI. Stay current with the industry trends. How does Claude do it? How does Google's Gemini do it? So you will have to provide data about the industry trends or even the best practices. So what is our end goal here? Show your strong problem solving skills. Remember, in the first step, we were trying to win over our stakeholders. Now we are going to the next level where you're showing your strong problem solving skills. Okay. So now what happens when you already have the problem solving skills? Now remember, this is your opportunity to show them how to focus on a win win situation. Remember, we just spoke about a project manager being a jack of all trades. You might not know a lot of details, but you still know the end to end systems and structures. Imagine you have to understand the big project of the goals. What is this project going to do? What happens with this release? What is that problem I'm going to solve? In a way, you're aligning your project goals with not just team objectives, but also the business problem, business objectives. So, what is that win win situation you're looking at? You're looking at others succeed. Okay. You're looking at solving others' problems so that they are more likely to support you. When the business understands your intent and when the business is able to see a clear picture of how you're trying to help them, they are more likely to support you. And at that point, when you try to give business some kind of information, I think we are stuck at these two options. I strongly recommend solution A over solution B. Try it out. You'd be able to win over your stakeholders. Or imagine your stakeholders asking you for some additional scope. But then you're left with a choice that you could either release it in two different packages or you have to move the release date to a future date because there was some kind of additional scope creep in the form of a CR. How do you create a win win situation? You are giving options to your business. I could release it as two different packages. One, we're keeping the users focused that yes, we're trying to bring in a new solution as well. Or we could release it on a future date. You are providing the solution and you are guiding the business that yes, I'm supporting you. Let's take a solution there. So you're creating a win win situation for everyone. Okay, guys, in order to understand all these three things better, I'm going to give you an exercise. Okay, we're going to do with a small activity. And for this, I'm going to ask you to get a paper and a pen ready. And now, people who brought in your masks, remember, this is going to be a blindfolded activity. If you don't have a mask, it's okay. I fully trust you. You're going to close your eyes and do this activity with me. Just let me be the master. Okay, whatever I say, you're going to follow. Or if you have the mask with you, cover your eyes with the mask. That's what you're going to do. For all those who wondered what is Janani going to do with a COVID mask, here you go. Okay, Gina, so you are going to just close your eyes and do this activity. So what do I need? I need all of you to have a piece of paper and a pen. Okay, I'm going to give you clear instructions on what are you going to do. And remember, guys, this is an opportunity. We are going to speak with this activity. You will understand how we are going to build three steps that we spoke about. Okay. Are we ready? Any thumbs up or anybody unmuting yourself and say? Okay, we are ready. Okay, I see a thumbs up from Anne Marie. Okay, Gina. Okay, all right. I see a smile from Norman. Okay, we're going to go ahead. Okay, guys, we'll do this activity for around 3 minutes. That should be okay. Okay, all of you, eyes closed. You're going to follow what I say. I want you to draw. I want you to draw two rectangles and totally around 8 squares inside those two rectangles. Come on, start with it. Take a deep breath, start drawing your rectangles, two rectangles and 8 squares within those two rectangles. Come on, everybody do it. Yes, 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 you can do it. Nadish, are you done? Okay. Wow, I see a smile. Who else is done? Anne, are you done? Okay, good. Guys, whoever has done, give me a thumbs up. Now, all right, for those people who have turned on their cameras, you're going to be my, what do you say, going to be my favorite people because I'm going to interact with you more. I want you to show me what did you draw. Shall we start with Anne? Can you show me what did you draw? I want you to show this in front of your camera. I haven't drawn anything though.
Yeah, actually,
Sure.
I didn't cheat, but I was surprised as well. uh, what? How can I?
What did
Okay,
you draw? Wait, I cannot see.
let me
Probably
just
because of
remove,
your
yeah, the
yes.
background.
Sure.
I was surprised as well.
Okay, sure. You are surprised at what you drew, right? Yeah.
Yes, I'm done.
Right. Sure. Can I see yours? Or Farah, would you like to share yours? What did you draw? Or Nadiz, would you like to show it on camera? What did you draw? Okay, perfect. Okay. And how about you, Nadiz? Thank you, Farah. Norman, would you like to show? How about you, Ba? Wonderful. Good. Tiba, good. And Norman, what have you drawn?
Well, my dimensions just went a bit here and there, but yeah,
Perfectly. No worries. Okay. All right.
if you
Thank
can
you,
see.
guys. Now, what if I tell you that all of you drew something very different from what I expected? I wanted this. So, where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong? Let's go back to our reflections. What were the points where this Captain Janani Chandran gave you wrong instructions? Can we speak about it, please? This is a reflection time. Even those who are off the camera, can you please speak up? What were the mistakes that we made? I would like you to speak. So, this is where we're going to build this workshop on.
I think you should have said about the structure of the rectangles and how you want to position every squares in it, right?
Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah.
I did not explain you on what was this rectangles at all. Remember, I told you two rectangles and 8 squares, right? This is what I told you. But I did not give you instructions on where they placed next to each other. How big were the rectangles? How many squares went into each of them, right? Was it 8 squares in each, or were the 8 squares supposed to be split between the two rectangles? Did I give any kind of instruction? No, correct, right? There were no instructions that I gave. What else was a mistake, guys? Come on, let's talk about it.
All right. So from my end, I think it goes both end if we do introspection. One could
Right.
be a clear communication, uh, and second could be too quick to jump into the activity without having a consent if it's or okay to do or not.
Absolutely. You nailed it. It was too quick. What did the project manager do in this case? Project manager did not give you clear instructions. Communication was missing. And I was saying, come on, guys, quick, quick, quick. I did not give you any kind of instructions. I failed in that. There was another thing where you all failed. What was that? I failed as a
I see.
project manager on that. But where did you guys fail on that? Can you think about what happened to
I
the questions?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
think
from
Nobody
our
asked
side?
any
you didn't ask
questions.
any questions to clarify your
Exactly,
instructions. Mhm.
exactly. So, as a stakeholder or as my project team, I found that missing as well. There were no questions that came in from your side, right? So, now let's try to reflect it back into our project management. Let me share back my screen. We're going to go back and see what were the mistakes that I did. So, now we did our activity and we are reflecting. So, let's go back. I I didn't try to build any kind of relationships with you guys. How could I build a relationship? Probably I could have given you a kind of picture, end-to-end goal of what are you trying to draw. So I failed in that. I did not build any kind of relationship. Second thing, communication wise as well, I was missing. I was too quick, as somebody had pointed out. And next thing, I did not motivate you guys to ask questions, right? Remember, I could have also built that trust and rapport with you guys so that you would have felt better by asking me questions. I did not give you that opportunity. Remember, next thing, other thing I could have done is I could have been a motivator. I could have been a better person saying that, okay, pick up your pen, try to draw one big rectangle and the other one has to be adjoining, little smaller than that. I could have been motivating you by giving you simpler instruction, right? I did not do that. Next thing, I also did not have any expertise. Probably I did not know much about these shapes and structures. I did not have somebody who could guide me on what were you trying to draw. Okay. Next thing, we did not look at a win-win situation for everyone. If I would have looked at you winning this, I would have given you hints on this. Correct? I was looking at completing my work only. I did not worry about what my stakeholders were doing. Okay. So these were the mistakes that I made. Now, can we go back and let's repeat this activity where I'm going to be a better person and we're going to draw it again. So let's do it again. Okay. Now, probably flip your paper behind. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be a better project manager and see how are we going to do that. Okay. So now remember, we are trying to draw one big circle. You're closing your eyes again. You're trusting me. You're trying to draw one big circle and one small circle within it. It could be anywhere within the circle. Okay. The big circle is really big and the small circle is somewhere maybe 1/10 or 1/20th of its size. Okay. You're drawing this and try to shade that small circle. So as soon as you complete drawing that small circle, try to shade it with your pencil or pen. Okay, so this is the structure we are trying to draw. We're trying to draw something like a bull's eye structure where you have an outer circle and an inner circle. And if your inner circle was hit by a dart, how it would look like. That is what we are trying to do.
Uh,
Okay, you can do it, guys. Let's do it slowly. You can do it. Your circle doesn't have to be perfect. You could do it in any shape. Just try it. You can do it. Yeah. Once you are ready, probably you can show me what did you draw? Something like this, is it?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody can show me what did you draw? See, thank you, Nadis. Super. Yeah. Thank you, Farah. See, now you go back and see the reflections. What have we done? In this case, I was not worried about me winning. I was more worried about all of us winning, right? And I tried to be a better person by motivating you guys that you could do it. And I also gave you details about the bigger circle. What was the structure like, right? I told you it is something like a bull's eye board where a dart is thrown. And when you hit the dart, how it would look like, right? So I gave you an end-to-end picture of
And
what we are trying to draw, and I was a better picture. So anything anybody would like to say at this point before we can move
and
on?
Chandran, what was the motive behind the closing the eyes activity part?
Sure, superb. Okay, why did I close that eye? I
Yeah.
wanted you to go back to where you stopped, Certain times we repeat some activities. Maybe you might not like to shade it. You have closed your eyes. I wanted you to shade it because I wanted to see where you have stopped. You have an idea. Certain times we repeat some processes. We don't know why are we doing it, how are we going to see an improvement, but we trust our project managers, right? So I wanted from the project management perspective as well, I should give that clear instruction. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
are the leader at this point. Remember, you are the leader. You will have to explain to them the bigger picture. How is it going to look like? And also, as a project manager, give them a picture of what is that problem they are going to solve. Often the project team knows that, okay, I'm developing this project, I'm putting in a payment solution for this vendor. However, they do not know what is that monetary benefit we are going to make, or what is that process improvement that we are going to bring in. How is it going to add value? People trust you more when they see the value addition that they bring in, right? Somebody has to make them realize it. That is a must. Okay. So now, after these both points, let me move on to the next part of my step 4 and step 5. So, reflections that I had as a project manager. Give Try to build rapport with your stakeholders. Okay, that is very, very important. Your communication, you have to be the motivational factor and create a win-win situation for everyone. That's the reflections that we take from this activity. Let's move on to point number 4, which is very important. And I see that Nadia also often speaks about this point as I follow her on LinkedIn. It is about communication.
Yeah.
And if you were a project manager, imagine communication to be your most expensive crown. This is the superpower that you carry with you. And I focus on two words here. One is clear communication. Okay, remember, adapt a communication style to match each stakeholder. So I'm going to talk about two words, clear and clever. What do I mean by clear? You understand? Be simpler, be specific, Why do I say the word? You have to be certain times clever in communication as well. Anyone wants to attempt it? Why do I say this word clever? Anyone wants to say? Okay, never mind. I think people are shy today. I'll give you the answer. Clever communication, you should know what is the information that you are giving out to each stakeholder. Is it a senior manager whom I'm speaking to? Is it a business unit that I'm speaking to, or is it an external vendor? What is that information that needs to be customized so that they understand it? Remember, I'm talking about adapting your communication style to match to each stakeholder. Certain times we might write a page long project report. When it goes into a senior manager, they do not have time to read through your page long report. They need is 4 bullet points. So you need to adapt to the communication style. Next thing, listen actively and demonstrate understanding. Imagine somebody from your team coming up to you and saying that, look, I have issues and I need someone to talk to. At this point, take up this role of an active listener. Here, what do they have to say? Summarize their points. Okay, I hear you. This is what I understood from this. Now, how do we go forward with it? What do you suggest? Give them also the responsibility. Probably take up the role of a coach at this place. What do you suggest? Why do you think we cannot deliver it in this way? What happens we take this alternative route? Empower your team through active listening. Okay, once you know what is the problem, also be transparent about what your challenges are, what your constraints are, and how are you going to move forward. Next, use a simple language that everyone understands. No jargons. I'll give you a classic example. When I speak about a very, strong verbiage like it's raining cats and dogs, people who understand or who speak English fluently will understand that, okay, it's going to rain heavily. I'm not going to go out. However, there are also neuroaffirmative people who would be scared and they are also not going to come out. You know why? They are going to be more scared that I don't know what's the situation out, that cats and dogs are pouring out of the sky, how dangerous that situation is. Do not use any kind of jargons. Align your stakeholders, that is your end goal. So make sure that you have this clear communication, keep it simple, keep it accurate, be transparent, and I would also say try to be clever in some ways. Try to put in what is that you want to send out and do. Let's move on to the activity number 2 again. I'm going to stop my share. Okay, I'm going to speak to you in a very foreign language. I'm just saying, okay, I think yes. I'm going to speak to you in a very foreign language that you might not understand. However, I'm going to give you a challenge. Try to decode what did I say. And anyone who's able to decode it, what did you understand out of what I said in a foreign language? Try to give me a few words, okay? Now I'm going to speak in my mother tongue that I speak. Design complete ஆச்சு. Developmentல delay ஒன்னும் இல்ல. ஆனா project release dates தள்ளி போட போறோம். Okay, I speak to you something like this. You could grab only the major words, right? Does anyone want to attempt what did I say?
Design complete ache.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Who? Yes, what did I say? Design?
Complete ache. I couldn't
Okay.
get it, but the
So
words
do
that
you
I
mean I
typed.
completed the design or I didn't complete the design, right? Both possibilities, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, right. Next, let's go to development.
Okay.
I spoke about development as well. Was there any clue that, did I say anything? But I mentioned the word called delay. So what does your brain think first point? Anyone wants
Um,
to? Nadis, you want to try it out? It was a complete foreign language for you. See, we often try to relate these two words that we know together. I said something about development. I spoke about delay. So the first thing your mind wants to think is there is a delay to my development timelines and the release is going to be delayed. However, what I said was design has been completed. Development is going fine. I see no delays. However, I want to delay the release timelines. This is what I said in my mother tongue. However, since I spoke in a foreign language and none of us could understand or decode what I said, we all failed. So, what do we do? When we speak, especially in terms of a project manager's reports, please be clear. Speak in a language that matters, that everyone can understand. Use those simpler words. Instead of saying that, yes, there is a delay, there is a possibility of a delay because I see 20 issues. If you speak in this speed as well, people are not going to understand. Not everyone is a native English speaker. So say it clearly. Development completed. This is the milestone, right? If possible, mark it as a start. This is the milestone we are looking at. Be clear about your communication. Or certain times you might want help from your stakeholders. So are you telling them clearly what is the reason for your ask? If you're going into a meeting with your sponsor, are you clearly specifying what is your intention for coming into that meeting? Are you going to speak about, asking for additional budget, or are you going to speak about the project being fine, or do you want the sponsors go ahead for anything else? Be clear with your intent. And as a project manager, if you could tell the story of your project or if you could relate things together, that would be even more better. You could bring out all those different missing parts of the puzzle together, form it into one big block that people can understand. You are on the right track. Okay. So, one thing that could make or break your project is your ability to communicate. Let's move on. We also had this reflections for this activity. Anyone wants to do? Yes, guys,
Uh,
anyone? Yeah, sure.
yeah, just an insight. Thank you for the metaphors that you use. They're really like helpful in understanding. Even the layman can understand, or even the project manager can understand. Uh, yeah, sometimes we communicate in a way which we feel like it's easier, but the person on the other end might find it very difficult to know the key points. So it's really helpful, to for you to communicate this here.
Right. Thank you, Norman. And I had read it somewhere in a book. Communication is perfect only when your sender and receiver have that same token. You know which token are you using for encoding it and decoding it, right? Certain times you have to be on the same frequency. So understand your style, understand what your stakeholders need, and then when you send it out, you are starting to build on trust. Okay? Trust is very important. Let me move on to my last thing. Now, what has happened? We have built in a foundation. We have laid in a foundation where we are speaking about communication and people have started trusting you. Now, what do? You have to demonstrate the credibility through your actions. Okay. People are watching you at this point. Consistently deliver on promises. If you have made in certain promises like by 5th of November, I'm going to give you a design, or probably the UI is going to come up which the stakeholders can see, or a MVP is going to be ready. See how you could deliver it. Next thing, certain times the path is always derailed. I understand that projects are never that smooth. You would see that, okay, my design was not completed. I needed the license to this tool. However, my procurement team delayed it. Admit your mistakes. Mistakes often happen as a project manager. Take ownership and not just putting the blame on people, rather take that what is that preventive or corrective action you're going to take as a project manager. Okay. Next thing, you're working with multiple teams, and often, currently, especially after this COVID times, we're working with remote teams. Remember, guys, you should have this ability to bond with everyone. Share credits, celebrate wins. Certain times when you have these project milestones, you might have a project group. How do you keep people motivated? Sharing these credits, I would like to share a win. We see that Paul was able to complete the UI today and it was approved by the stakeholders. This gives us a reason to celebrate, guys. So when you send this kind of clapping icon or things, people would feel, yes, okay, my efforts were appreciated. Similarly, when your business is able to help you get some kind of buy-in, they were able to talk to your super sponsor that instead of December 31st, why don't we release it on 15th Jan? Give them the credit. I would like to applaud the efforts of Elizabeth, who was able to speak with my sponsor and delay my project timelines. Elizabeth will also feel that yes, my efforts were lauded, and you are building that credibility through your actions. Share credits, okay? Remember on this. If you can give some kind of shout outs, if you can do this, spending in some kind of time with your team, that would be really good. Now, remember what I said, when you accept to be a project manager, you are accepting that you'll have your share of problems every single day. You'll have a crisis situation. No matter what, you will have tough timelines to meet. You'll have people saying that, look, he blamed me. Look, the stakeholder is always complaining. Oh my God, I'm not going to complete it on time. I have so many things at home. I'm fighting a deadline at home as well. There will be crisis, there will be problems. Remember, you are the captain of the ship, and at this point what we need is a calm presence. Instead of going into a conflict zone, instead of putting people into a blame where you say, oh yes, I've worked with you in that project as well, I know that you have this habit of blaming, you could rather say, okay, calm down, let's see how do we solve this problem. I know it's not easy, but conflict management is something that we all have to master in. How could we collaborate? How could we create that kind of situation where we are looking at confronting people? Okay, what is that difference we have? How could we amicably resolve it? When you show this kind of presence, people would naturally tend to favor you more. You become the master there. People would say, okay, I've worked with Janani in the past. She's good in problem solving, she's good in communication, and she knows her stuff. When she comes in into the meeting, she knows that she's going to present in her reports well. So that builds in my credibility. And what happens when I build such kind of credibility over different projects? I am building authority. I will be able to influence people whom I'm working with. I will be able to negotiate on certain wins. I will be able to bond people together, even in the conflict zone where two people are not agreeing. One stakeholder says, I'm not agreeing to work with them, you'd be able to bring them together. You are the captain of the ship and move towards your goal. That is your common goal. Okay. All right. So, guys, this is the 5 steps that I wanted to share with you guys. And I think we finished it on time, though I wanted to keep some special time in case we take more time on the activities. We'll reserve the rest of the time for any kind of reflections or any kind of questions that you have. Thank you, Duba. I saw the heart. Thank you. It builds my confidence. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Anything that you learned and you'd like to share your reflections, you'd like to summarize.
As I am currently in the first stage of project management, so
Okay.
I've learned a lot from you, from communication, conflict management, and everything. Thank you so much,
Sure. Thank
Chandran.
you. Thank you so much. You can call me Janani. Yeah.
Janani,
Yeah.
okay.
Perfect. Thank you. And guys, I have one more tip to share as well before we can end. See, as a project manager, we are often in lots of meetings. That's what happens. If you're going to be a project manager in future, you're going to spend around 60 or 70% of your time in meetings where you're talking to a lot of people. I would say, along with your communication, you have to learn the skills for facilitation. Why I call this facilitation is there will be people who normally try to be shy in meetings. They normally don't like to speak up. However, what is your role as a project manager? Make sure that everyone is given an opportunity. So, how could you do that? I call this as inclusive facilitation or inclusive speaking. When, as and when you see that somebody has been quiet, why don't you kind of prompt them? Okay, so Gina, do you have something to say? You directly go into a person who hasn't spoken, but you might know that this person is an important stakeholder. How do you facilitate? Ask them question instead of yes or no. Ask them. So Gina, do you think that we could go in this way? Will it be having any kind of impact on your team? Don't have it into a closed ended question where that person says yes or no. Prompt them to speak more. Okay. So inclusive meetings are very, very important, and you will have to lead it as a facilitator where a person feels valued. Okay, when I go into her meetings, should ask me questions, should make me feel better. That's why I go back into her meetings, right? So be a good facilitator. That is important as well, along with being a good communicator, being a conflict resolver or a problem solver. Any questions that you have for me as a project manager? I have been managing projects for maybe around last 12 years. I have started program management as well. I'm challenging myself each day. That's what I
Do
would say.
you do you remember your first project?
Oh, yes, I do remember my first project. That was way back in 2023 when okay, I'll tell you the story of this. I was laid off in 2012 while I was working as a QA lead. And I did not know what to do at that point. And when I met a mentor, he told me that you are very passionate about working with people. You have good communication skills. Why don't you give it a try for project management? So that is where that was like a bulb glow moment. I realized what was project management. I browsed about it. I was a QA
Okay.
lead. I understood. I had good collaborative skills. So I say often PMP resurrected my career. So whatever I'm today, I never had to turn back and see. So my first project was digitization of an insurance system. So the insurance system that you do, a paper-based system for Southeast Asia, I was able to digitize it where you could have it as an iPad app. You could fill in all your details, enter your credit card, and your insurance policy was issued. So that was my first project.
That's great. That's great.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Probably you could stay connected via LinkedIn. I'll be happy to stay in touch with all of
Yes.
you. All
Thank you
righty.
so
Thank
much,
you.
Thank
Janani.
you
Very
so
Thank
Thank
much.
you
you.
so
I
much,
important.
look
Thank you for
Anand.
your
forward to it.
time.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
Bye
much.
bye.
Thank you very
Bye bye.
much. Thank,
Thank you,
thank you
Janani.
very
Thank you.
much,
Thank you. Thank
Janani.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.